The housing affordability crisis that we are experiencing right now in New Brunswick is rooted in three really existing problems in our communities. The first one is just unaffordable. The cost of housing is going up for tenants and for landowners and homeowners. That's the first thing. Second thing is not enough new housing is being built. We've talked about these things in the previous 4 days. So go back and look at all those four parts about unaffordable housing. And the third thing is lots and buildings sitting unempty because people who have purchased those lots and buildings are just sitting on them and hoping they appreciate in value, which unfortunately they typically do. It's that idea of invest in real estate, let it sit, and you will make money. This is hurting our communities. Now, what can we do about it? I really want to talk today. This is why I titled this about creative thinking. Friends, there is a lot of disillusionment out there that I am seeing as I run to be your MLA and speak to people. The solutions are there, but that's why I'm talking about having courage to participate for our common good. So, in that vein, today I want to unpack in 5 minutes, yeah, right, the difference between property tax, which is our existing system right now, and we've touched on that in the previous 4 days, and land value tax. This is just an example of a solution that is within our grasp if we have the political will and the consensus of the people to make a change like this. I'm not saying it's a policy, I'm not saying it can happen next year. I want to use it as an example of what can be. So let me just unpack it. Property tax, our system as it exists now, is somebody purchases a property or a building and they are taxed based on the the real estate value, of that property, mostly the building or business that is built on that land. So, an example, downtown St. Stephen, we have a coffee shop, for example, that is working very hard, contributing to the community, struggling to get by. We all are rooting for it and hoping that it continues because we need a coffee shop in our town and they're paying their share of pretty high taxes being right in the BIA. A lot next door, for example, purchased by a speculator, will sit there empty, and that the owner of that is being taxed almost nothing because they haven't developed on it. And this is an example of just a fallow lot that sits empty in our community. Businesses that are taking risk, opening, struggling, facing the challenges, and getting taxed are taxed unfairly next to a lot that is sitting there that could be put to productive use. I won't list examples, but you can imagine any number of things that would benefit downtown where you live: Macadam, Campobello, St. Andrews, St. Stephen. This is highly inefficient and highly unfair. We've gone with it for 100+ years. Why not? Well, it's very disadvantageous. Now, the another level of taxation that we could try that is being implemented and tried in 30+ countries is something called land value tax. Land value tax is not a new idea, but it's slow to come around, and you'll understand why when you hear it, because property tax values and favors people who have a lot more property and are worth a lot more. And as we established, people who own land and own property and homeowners typically have 20 times more wealth than people who rent. So, what land value tax does is a town or municipality would assess just the land and not the improvements on that land, which means that the example we use, the coffee shop downtown and the lot next to it, would both be taxed at the same rate, which means people would be discouraged. Companies would be discouraged from simply snapping up land, assuming no risk, and just letting the land sit and using it as an investment in their portfolio to increase their wealth. We can't have that in our towns, cities, villages, municipalities. It hurts everyone. And so property value tax, land value tax would say the coffee shop owner and the person who owned the empty lot are paying the same rate. Now, there's all kinds of things about exemptions and easing that in as a policy. We won't go into that now, because what I'm doing here is showing you that the solutions are out there. This is something that would be more fair. This is the kind of society and kind of creative thinking that is available, and that Greens across this province and country want to see implemented. One of the challenges of bringing in that kind of system, let's say, even if I were elected as your MLA and multiple Greens were elected as your MLA, and we decided to go forward with this, is right now in New Brunswick, the province determines the budgets for municipalities. Think about that. Municipalities can't even set their own budgets without provincial approval. So this is ingrained in the system, the property tax assessment system, which highly favors speculation. We see people on fixed incomes, their taxes are going up. It's just not ideal in so many ways. And as I said, it contributes to empty lots, buildings that are not being used, but owners happy to sit on them because the businesses that are taking risks downtown are actually accruing and increasing the value. And there's no risk for these folks. We need these lots, these buildings turned over for productive use. And that means if an owner is sitting on it, but they're getting taxed at the same rate as the wonderful gym or coffee shop or youth center or pet store or whatever it is, they will be taxed at the same rate and share the same burden, because the municipality is assessing the land, not the improvement on it. Now, other complications include a split rate tax, where you could tax most of the land and a smaller portion of the improvements on that. There's creative ways around it. In Pennsylvania, I'm way over time, and I knew I would be. In Pennsylvania, you see something like this happening since 1975. There are cities and municipalities that try this when they need revitalization. It's not the best system for when there is saturation. Every lot is full. There's high competition in terms of the buildings. Then you'd want to switch it out. But right now, we are seeing in our towns, and I'm a resident of St. Stephen, this is exactly the kind of creative thinking and solution we would need. Friends, 4,000 people who are eligible to vote in the riding of Saint Croix last election did not vote. It takes courage to vote and tackle big challenges like this and participate in ideas for our common good. This is an example of a common good where the current property tax system is not helpful, but land value tax would be helpful. These are the kind of changes we need to see, the kind of thinking we need to do. And if you haven't voted, if you could vote this election, have the courage to cast your vote for this kind of change, you will notice improvements in your society, in your towns, in your municipalities, for our common good together. Thanks, everyone. Join me tomorrow for more stuff. I really enjoy sharing with you, and let's participate. We want to see a change for our common good. I'm running to be your